All right. Let's see, how do I get this thing going? I got it? I don't know.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I promised you it would be ready for you.
That's okay. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
All good.
Hi. How's everyone doing? All right, all right. A little technical difficulty, but hi, I'm Deb. I'm going to be here to talk to you about trust. But before I get started, who likes to root for the underdogs? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. I do. I like to fight for the underdogs. It's probably why I'm a designer. I like mischief. I'm really suited for startups and disrupting companies. So, in my leadership journey, you might have seen some of these companies, Yammer, Affirm, Credit Karma. I was really fortunate to be part of these organizations during hypergrowth and learning quite a bit. One of those things that was constant was trust. Trust with your customers and with the teams that I had worked with. The word was important for me, but I never spoke up. Especially, it's like kind of squishy, not measurable, and especially in companies of these kind of types of organizations that are looking at like metrics to measure. So I never really talked about it. And so how do you measure trust? So I quietly doubled down, navigated my way. I was able to see the impact of the business and growth working through the teams that I had led. And after a few successful exits, I kind of realized, well, maybe I'm not so crazy. Trust might be a thing, which was why I was so excited to join a company called Vanta. So if you flew into the airport on your way to the 101, you might have seen this billboard. Our mission is to secure the internet and increase trust to keep consumer data safe. So we're a little bit quirky. We've got a llama. You're going to see a lot more of the llama. And we're really passionate about helping customers and companies be more compliant and safe. If you're a founder or sell B2B SaaS, you probably know what SOC 2 is and how painful it is. But to achieve our mission, we need to enable these underdogs of startups and even small-sized security organizations to show that they're trustworthy. So when trust is what you sell, building a product at Vanta also requires us to work a little bit differently too. So this felt right. So building trust is a team sport at Vanta, internally and for our customers. But Deb, isn't the job of design to solve for customer needs? Yes, and transparently, you might have felt design, research is also kind of an underdog function. We don't get to push the button to deploy internally. So to do our jobs well, we need cross-functional support. So to do that in the organization, so we can do the cool things that we want to support the business and keep doing the things that make design the secret weapon. Over the years, I've been kind of working on my own toolkit. This didn't come from a management textbook, but something I started to explore when leading design organizations through these hypergrowth and exits. Each one required trust and storing coins in the piggy bank is what I call it, because the work to be done required to manifest in someone else's efforts. So today, I'm going to share a little bit about how I built trust during my first year and a half at Vanta using this framework. So let's dive in. As a leader, dropping into an existing team, you have to navigate and build trust at a company. Each org I inherited was different in why I was hired. Most of the time, you were hired to do something in their minds that was hard or probably uncertain to make that change, which is why they bring you to bring in that change. Vanta was pretty transparent during their interview process, so going into the role, I kind of knew I had the work cut out for me from people, product, and process. But of course, there's some trust building I needed to do, which is why I knew going into the role, that's what I needed to start. So when I went in, I went to be curious of how design fit into the business. So my first 30 days, I did the usual listening tour, one-on-ones. But in the first week, I quickly realized every person in the company was somehow touching the customer experience, but we're not talking to each other. So after that first week, I fired up FigJam and started to build an artifact in all of those one-on-ones and started to piece together that puzzle of what was going on with the customer journey. And by the end, I had mapped out what you see above as ways to find opportunities of those handoff and gaps in the experience. And from then, the C-suite asked me to present the map and lead a discussion amongst the leaders on where to piece together those opportunities with the leaders. I had added a perspective that they weren't aware of, which earned trust currency by sharing the results in a way that displayed that I was listening through those various conversations. So as a result, I was able to build an artifact and bring groups together and facilitate a discussion. I had a perspective after learning first. I delivered something when they least expected it and learned what was valuable to the business. The second pillar is when you also start a role, there are some graces that you're given because you're new. You're learning, you might have different approaches to things, you can ask the naive questions. And Vanta especially is significant giving grace because governance, risk, and compliance is quite complicated, and then mainly very complicated compared to other products I had built. And so this framework takes a little bit of dose of confidence, some good judgment, and getting comfortable with taking on some calculated risk by making a few smart bets early. And one of those bets was to see the organizational appetite to lead design-led projects. So when I had joined in October, I was reviewing the plans for the next year. And I was really concerned that we were going to have to add a lot new product capabilities in the left nav. And it was going to be very difficult to scale. So I saw this opportunity, and the timing worked out well. So I wrote up a one-pager, tied that to a plan, aligned with our product advisory board at one of our company events the following month. It was time-boxed because we had a deadline for the company event. It didn't pull us away from our core work, and the team was really motivated since they actually saw this opportunity but couldn't get it off the ground to get approval. So we only had a few weeks, which was low risk of a time commitment. So as a result, this is what we ended up putting in front of our product advisory board. We partnered with our product team, crafted a customer feedback session, and led a design-led session with that customer group. Our customers, was the first time they'd ever seen concept designs, and they were brought into the process. They were engaged, the discussion was lively, and they helped solve the problem with us. And our engineering and product counterparts were surprised on the richness of the insightful conversation about having visuals for the conversation. So we got customer validation, it got added to the roadmap, we got a Tiger team staff, was not originally on the roadmap, and we shipped it the following quarter. So by doing this, it added some of those trust coins into that piggy bank. It helped me learn about my team, their abilities and passion for building, their work. They worked well together, and they made it happen. Engineering and product leadership saw that design can strengthen feedback loops to build conviction. And now for all of our product advisory boards, design is asked to lead and facilitate conversations with our customers with new concepts and insights. Now, more llamas. When you have a leader, you usually have so much to do. You need to learn about your team, you've got your customers, you need to learn a product, the market, how the team ships, et cetera, et cetera. It takes quite a bit of discipline to focus and make intentional choices for how you spend your time. This was no different at Vanta. A great mentor told me, focus on your impact versus trying to fix everything, which I also call peanut buttering. The best way I learned how to focus my energy was focus on one area at a time by what I call getting in the boat versus hiring too quickly. So I'm 3 months into my role. I had no experience in compliance or security. I had no managers, and I was managing a very small team. So we also didn't have a PM dedicated to the space that we needed to improve. In my mind, this was the opportunity to get in the boat. So I paired with the designer to learn about this product area and learned about the challenges that our customers had and understand the business opportunity. Because trust is a team sport at Vanta, it's highly encouraged for us to reach across the pond and with our go-to-market teams for insights. So I'd suggested gathering insights by listening to gong calls of our customer success managers, our account managers, and sales teams using Gong, which is a huge advantage meant to mining insights. So before we started talking to our customers directly, we started mining the information out of these calls and started drafting up a customer journey map around policies. The key insight was drafting a policy is quite nerve-wracking. Created a lot of anxiety. It's a legal document that is created. So most startup founders hadn't done this before and weren't confident in doing this. However, rebuilding the front end was going to take some time, and it required us to partner with our growth team to get a version out, which we called Mad Libs, which is the version on the left-hand side. Still, it didn't address the anxiety, but we at least tried because it was fast and iterative. So we continued to iterate on an idea. And at this point, our PM was onboarded and was supportive of us exploring additional concepts because we never achieved the goal that we were looking for. So as a result, we ended up shipping that version called Mad Libs, and we tested a bunch of concepts out, and this is the updated version, which were on the left-hand side, you see the questions, and then you would immediately, as you answered those questions on the right, you would see the policy change. And so as a result, we addressed this anxiety, which was one of our most loved products with consistent CSAT scores. It's actually one of the favorite channels in our Slack that Christina looks at when she needs an energy boost to see all these happy hearts on emojis. And it ended up building a stronger connection with our customers. So as a result, the designer helped me learn about the product and our customers, and we did that together. We showed that we can lead without waiting for a PM, and we built bridges with our go-to-market teams, and we saw results in CSAT and completion rates. Now next, one of design's superpowers is that we can make something people can see. Although I don't design that much in B2B SaaS, I'm still designing in some way. This has favorable results when you see a problem and you chase a solution, chase after a solution. We were rapidly building the design organization, and I quickly realized that we were going to double in size in the second half of the year, and I needed to onboard half of those people. And I knew that GRC was very nuanced, more nuanced than some place like called FinTech. So I wanted to let designers know where their strengths would be taken advantage of and where those areas would be, they would have to be curious and take time. We didn't have support for onboarding, but I knew how much it was important to help these individuals join and be as successful as possible, since we had had a few people take a few little missteps. It was worth investing my own personal time, and so I took on the role of showing and not telling and designing my own onboarding sessions. So I crafted a 4-week curriculum, scheduled 1 hour a week with the cohorts of designers that were starting each month. I started what I call with like the top 10 cheat sheets of the stuff that nobody tells you, all the cultural norms, especially in a remote culture, what you should know, what it's like to ramp at Vanta. And one of the biggest things is you will need to be curious, you need to build trust, and that impact will grow within the first 90 days. So the other part, which is this visual, my little hacky little sketch here, was the product model in the governance, risk, and compliance, and to build trust is actually quite complicated. So I had to try and figure out a different way to explain it to these new onboards. And so the metaphor I used was a freeway. And I intentionally showed in the sketch form to express to the designers that showing these quick solutions and iterating from there was the way of Vanta. So it was very intentional for me to show in an incomplete form of the impact that is so important for me to communicate an idea as fast as possible versus showing a polished piece of work. And so this idea here really is just this idea that the organization and the products that we build is like bringing a freeway on-ramp for all different types of customers and different types of companies through various products. And the goal is to keep them in that freeway system through onboarding correctly. Oops. So as a result, new hires were able to build a relationship with me. I did Q&A once a week, so they were able to give me feedback on the onboarding. I was able to focus on impact versus to make progress. And the speed to results to ramp those individuals were faster than any other organization. And the organization took notice. They're like, why is design ramping so much faster than anybody else? So as a result, expanded the scope for onboarding. So after a year and a half of building trust, the Vanta design team is now a mere 25. We showed visible improvements to the product. We shipped design-led products and built almost a brand new team and a human-centered culture. Now is what I call cashing in. So, because I had such a successful onboarding for my team and we were delivering results, I was asked to develop the entire program for engineering, product, and design for their onboarding. This allowed me to develop best practices around cultural norms, how we build customer centricity, and think about how design quality from day one for all new hires at Vanta. And so one of the biggest opportunities is to address the onboard of all the engineers so that they're shipping faster and more efficiently and deliver value to our customers. So I was able to incorporate that cheat sheet that I had mentioned and the product model into the onboarding so that all of our teams could onboard faster and understand the goals of the business. And so I'm personally still running some of these sessions as a feedback loop to incorporate into new ideas into how we onboard all of engineering, product, and design, and also start to influence the cultural centricity that we try to maintain by leading with design. So the other moment was my cash-in moment, which is, if anyone saw Jerry Maguire, I had my Jerry Maguire moment. Maybe I was standing on the table in my own personal office at home, but I did write a manifesto, and it was around design quality is broken. And this was the opportunity, by building all the relationships that I built with product and engineering, to address this problem. I could not do it before. I didn't have the team. I didn't have the management and leadership, but I did at this time. And so when I was able to write this note, engineering and product jumped on board after me talking at an all-hands and saying, we need to address this. Immediately, a week after, people were talking about how do they need to change how they shipped. So as a result, in our quarterly planning most recently, everyone had attributes of improving design quality. We have product quality tickets now in Jira, and we have an entire team dedicated to improving the quality of our products. So as a result, I had cashed in on so much of that investment that I had built up over the last year. So this is how trust leads to huge wins for the product and the teams and the business. By putting a stake in the ground with the interest of cross-engineering and product design, it started to unravel other things that needed to be fixed. So it just opened the door to have those conversations because I had built that trust. So I might have mentioned about the conditions. A lot of times when I'm doing this, I think about the conditions. Are they favorable? When I have these types of opportunities, I ask myself a series of these questions. Do you have the right team? Do you have the broader organizational support? Is this something that can be solved for the customer, business, possibly for design? Is this something that we can start small and show some progress? And what I would say is about 90% of this is timing. Is the timing right to have all of those things land in a favorable outcome? So as a recap, each one of these principles required trust of my internal teams to earn trust coins in that piggy bank. I needed my teammates to learn and realize the value. By being curious, making some bets, and getting in the boat with them, and showing and not telling. And also asking yourself, is this the right time for the opportunity to earn some of those coins in that trust piggy bank? And then, ultimately, cash into that broader impact. There would have been no way I could have done all that in a year and a half if I did not have the trust of my team, my cross-functional partners, and the leadership to do what I had done in such a short, compressed period of time. So picking those right things that could be high impact across more than one dimension is what allowed me to earn that trust with the organization. So my hope is you found some of the inspiration today with some of these examples. So my prompt to you is, I'd love to hear about your trust experiments that you would like to run in your organization and see how it can help. So here's a QR code. Would love your feedback on the talk and hear about your customer experience. Thank you.